Welcome to Weird Real Life Stories with Gina Gale Gray, true tales of spirit, synchronicity, and soul wisdom. I'm Gina, freedom coach, counselor, and oracle, and this is where the unexplainable finds a voice. Here we tell stories that don't fit inside logic, stories like messages from the beyond, mystical encounters with nature, and moments so wild they make you question everything, and yet feel more real than anything else. These are the stories that expand your mind, open your heart, and remind you that the invisible threads are always working in your favor. If you've ever felt something, seen something, or just known something others couldn't explain, you're not alone. You're not crazy. You're connected. This is your safe space to trust what you feel, speak what you know, and remember who you truly are. Let's begin. Hello, and welcome to today's show. I'm your host, Gina Gale Gray, freedom coach, counselor, and oracle. My intention for this show is to open the doorway to the unexplainable, guiding you into that mysterious space where the physical and spiritual worlds meet. On this show, we don't just talk about ideas, we share stories, because story is where real truth lives, not only what we've been told, but what we've actually experienced. Communication is always happening between the physical and spiritual worlds. There's messages coming in from angels, aliens, animals, ancestors, and all spirit beings. And they're coming in always and in all ways. And today we're going to focus on the messages and miracles that happened in my guest Sasha's life. Sasha, welcome back to Weird Real Life Stories. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you so much for inviting me back. I'm excited to share the story today. Thank you.
Well, our conversation got so deep in the last episode, we ran out of time. And there were a couple of other things that were definitely a continuation of your stories. I want to first remind people that Sasha is a level 3 QHHT practitioner and a Life Between Lives spiritual regression facilitator. And her journey onto the spiritual path actually began with a lot of structure and logic and a grounded understanding of the world. But through a series of moments she couldn't explain and eventually couldn't ignore, things shifted. And when Sasha was on earlier, she shared some stories about how spirit communicated with her using an email attachment, and that led to her becoming a QHHT practitioner. And then later, the amazing Dolores Cannon, who continued to be amazing in the spirit world, appeared to her in her kitchen after she had passed on. So let me tell you, Sasha's stories with spirit messengers did not end there, because Sasha, I want to tell you, I noticed as you were telling some of the experiences you've had, the woman that asked to go to her source. And you said very clearly that as that was happening, you were talking to Dolores. So Dolores was also continuing to help you in your work as a QHHT practitioner. Does that still happen today?
It still happens today because when Dolores left the 3D world where she had to travel physically to reach more people and share her message, now she is a non-physical and multidimensional, and everyone who is open, I believe, to connect and ask as a practitioner, to ask her a question during a session, what do we do next if we are confused? I always find her message there, right there. And sometimes, occasionally, when we travel to retreats or during a conversation in my office, I will feel her presence and I will share that with others. And if they are sensitive enough, they will feel it too. So it wasn't a goodbye, it was a hello in a different level. And it definitely happening constantly in my office. One of my clients who is clairvoyant, she didn't saw Dolores Cannon before. I just invited her as my friend. Like, do you want to have a session? Let's do an exchange. Okay, let's do that. And then she said at the end of our conversation, that, by the way, there is a woman in your office. She looked like a gray hair. short haircut. And I said, oh, and I took one of the Dolores Cannon book that I always on my shelf, and I showed a picture on the back. This is the woman that you see in most? She's like, yes, yes, she's here.
And then so did you continue to talk about her since you both acknowledged that her presence was there?
Actually, no, we just, okay, wonderful. So who is it? This is Dolores Cannon. Like, this is the book. You can read the book if you would like. And we just continued.
Okay. I know because I share that experience. That's a similar way that I have continued to be connected to my son Spencer. And it's very rare when two people at the same time will feel the presence and you can actually have a little conversation about that. So I'm happy to hear that Dolores still shows up and is supportive to you. And I want more people to realize that this is available. There are so many ways that those that are in spirit now they have ability to help us when we allow it, when we open the door.
Absolutely. I see a lot in my sessions when clients come with grief of losing loved ones. And this would be one of their questions or one of the background stories to their emotional heaviness that they feel in their heart. Often than not, their soul will show up in the session and will comfort them.
I think
And
that's
we do go and comfort who we left behind. And there's actually one of the questions that we have when we do a past life regression after the client in the other lifetime they transition. One of the questions that they ask, is there anyone you want to comfort? And they go and they do. So it's such a natural thing to do. This is what we all doing.
Yeah, that's really good to know and very helpful because right now there are so many people who are suffering with grief and sadness and depression and it's debilitating because there has been so much loss and there's been some misunderstanding about this ability to stay connected. So I appreciate that shows up in the work that you do, and it shows up in the work that I do as well. When people want to work with me in that way, it's valuable and it's part of the healing journey for both the ones on this side and the ones on the spirit side. So
Absolutely.
I want to ask you about another experience that you shared with me before, and this was during your, I believe, your level 2 training for your QHHT training, and there was a time in the training when you would split out and work with someone so that you could practice your hypnotherapist voice.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell me about who showed up to help you with that?
Oh, absolutely. And this is a story that I held inside of me without sharing for over 10 years. And only recently I shared it with you, I think the first time ever, because it was so impactful. It was something that was so deeply impactful that I put it somewhere in my memory far away, not to bring it up because I wasn't ready to unpack it, in the house. So this was a story of an angel who showed up to help me to create a right hypnotic voice. Because in the Dolores Cannon work, there are different hypnotherapy modalities, but in this specific work, we put our clients under with our voice. This is our main tool. So the voice needs to be, I don't want to say perfect, but in a very specific way used. And we learn how to do it. We learn because if you talk too fast, you bring a client up. If you speak too sharp, you create resistance. If you speak too slow, they get bored. So there is a very specific point how the voice should be. And it was a whole day dedicated for that in the training of level 2. And we were practicing with our partners and then going to a mentor and we were showing what we achieved. And the mentor will tell us what need to get better, and maybe we are good at it. And I was struggling. I was going back and forth, and I couldn't get it right. And I had a partner that I work with. She was a very interesting woman. She didn't show up in the first day at all. She came on the second day. She sat next to me. And when we were deciding the partners for this specific exercise, naturally, we decided we're going to do it together. So I was struggling, going back and forth. And she said casually, Sasha, do you mind if I ask my angels to help you with your voice? And I thought to myself, well, I didn't have an understanding of angels. I knew how they look like because, the art history of Europe that I was learning at school was all about angels. They were all over, like art history of Renaissance, but I didn't know that they actually can do something. And I decided I don't want to be rude. I just going to say yes because she probably means something good. They cannot do much, but and I said, okay. And in the moment I said, okay, something started happening inside my head. Behind my nose, behind my cheeks, somewhere there, started movement that I can actually feel and I couldn't control. And this took me absolutely off. I was standing there in front of her in awe. I stopped speaking and I just was asking her with my eyes, what's going on? And she reassured me, don't worry, they're helping, they're telling me they're doing, don't worry. And I stood like that. And then I read the script. And then I went to my mentor and I read the script and she said, it's perfect now. And I dismissed it completely. I put it on somewhere, I didn't remember. The next day, I didn't see this lady in the class. And the class is, 7 days and everyone is coming here with an intention not to miss a moment. And I asked about her and I was told that she actually never signed up officially. She was a friend of someone. She just came and I never saw her ever again. So this was the story of the voice. And since then, I use that voice and it's working amazing. I recently learned 4 years ago that I can use that voice not just to put people under, but any places that my clients go into during the regressions, any existences, any realities are stored in my being as a vibrational address. And with that voice, I can take other people who would like to visit those places, I can take them there. This vibration exists, and I tried it in the groups. So I would meet, let's say, in one of the sessions of my clients in person, we're going to talk to a Pleiadian beings that are healing group, that family of Laura, I call them. They call themselves family of Laura. And they're a healing group of Pleiadian. And I asked their permission, can I introduce you to other people? And of course. So I would take a group of my clients, and I said, do you want to get introduced to Pleiadian group of healers? And go, wow, yes, of course, let's do that. So I will put them under, and then with my voice, I will guide them, and they will have an experience with that Pleiadian group. Or let's say some of my clients, she went to a time where Jesus were healing other people during the healing. And I asked Jesus, do I have a permission to invite you to heal? And of course, the permission was granted. And again, I would take a group of people and we will have that and they will all have experiences. So this voice I cherish. I still learn about that. I'm still exploring that. But only recently, because it was such an impactful moment of changing my physical body, that I put it aside, like people put trauma. People put trauma aside like that until they're ready to actually look and communicate with that and make peace with that and reconcile. So only recently that happened to me with that event. This was about my voice.
Wow. Well, I feel very privileged to have heard the story first because it is such a powerful story. And I feel like there's so much more for you to continue. Whoever that angelic being was, I imagine she is still a part of your life and she is still a part of your work and she's invested in you and she's invested in this magical creation of your voice to be able to take people to other places. That is just really, really fascinating. Um, and you said that that woman, you saw her that evening and then you never saw her again. So it's official. She was not signed up for the course. She just popped in. I think that's even actually a term, the pop-ins.
Like that. I like that.
Yes, that just come in to do something magical like this. So that is really, really fascinating. And that particular event, that training, that experience, it was difficult for you to put it all together and have the time and coordinate everything. And even as if the magical miracle of opening your hypnotist voice wasn't enough, when you were leaving that training, there was yet another miraculous experience that came up for you. Will you tell us about that?
Absolutely. This one I really like to tell, and this one for some reason I accept it right away as normal, even though it's very abnormal. I had an extra day appeared in my life when I really wanted it, but it wasn't planned. So this is what happened. I arrived to that training in Arkansas. I flew there, and then I was a very busy mom. I had two little kids. I had an art school as a director, and I couldn't just leave like that for 1 week and leave my husband with two little kids. My parents were working and we didn't have a nanny. So it was all on me. And me and my husband, we're two engineers. So we decided, well, he said, Sasha, if you really want it, we're going to make it work. Let's sit and let's plan it. So we sat down and we planned it like any engineering project that we were doing for work, minute by minute, day by day. So I will not miss picking up from school, taking kids from school, like putting them to sleep, my art school, everything was very, very orchestrated. And I went there. So we had those miracles and more and more. And then the last day, everything is planned. My taxi is waiting for me outside of the hotel. I'm stepping into the lobby with all my belongings. And I see, instead of seeing people leaving that I expected they're going to leave, people are arriving. And like, those are my kind of people. I see them, oh, those people I really want to get to know. And I see that like things are arranging and some vendors are coming with crystals and stuff. And I don't understand what's going on. And one of my like friends from the class is, Sasha, why are you leaving? I was like, well, it's the last day of the class. I need to go. Everything is ready. Oh, Sasha, tomorrow is the most important day. And today too. Today is the most important day. The day that you're leaving is the most important day. People from all over the world are coming here as a reunion from China, from Canada, and we're gonna have so much fun. And right now, when you're leaving, you see that van outside, we're gonna sit in this van and we're gonna drive and we're gonna dig our crystals. We are in Arkansas, we can dig our own crystals and take home. Do you know that? And no, I didn't know that. I really wanna go with you, but I have to go. Like, I hugged everyone goodbye. I come to the reception and I'm asking, like, I'm checking out. And the receptionist looked at the screen and said, why are you checking out? You have an extra day. And I probably a mistake. My ticket is for today. My flight is for today. My taxi is waiting outside. And I opening my tickets. It was a paper then, 14 years ago. And I see there is tomorrow. My flight is tomorrow. And I realized that I have that gift of an extra day. I called my husband. He was surprised as much as I was, but everything is arranged perfectly. My mom got a day off. She could take care of the kids. Even the taxi, someone needed a taxi to airport, so the taxi also, got a client. And I stayed that extra day, and I believe that When you decide that you actually are taking action, even though it's challenging and you need to move things around, you're taking action toward your dream, the universe will deliver you gifts. And this was my gift. An extra day. We had so much fun. Oh my gosh. I remember that.
That is such a beautiful story. And yeah, the universe will rearrange. When you're on path and you're on point and you believe it, it is such a lovely example of that showing up so that you could enjoy that experience. And I know there's been other times when things like that have shown up, and sometimes we just dismiss them or we just say, "Oh, that didn't really happen." But um, you have had some really profound knowings of spirit angels showing up to help you and guide you in your work. Do you just fold that into your work? Do you intentionally call on them in some method to show up and help you with your work?
It's a good question. Actually, everything that I do is guided by spirit. So I can call them occasionally, but actually they are constantly present already. Uh, and it's interesting. Like years ago, when I first arrived to United States, and my English was small English, so I was very shy, and I didn't know how to talk to people. I only could read English, and it's a story of we had a couple of relatives who lived here for a long time, and they wanted to show us Los Angeles. And one of my age, my relative, she said, Sasha, there is a very trendy place, a trendy restaurant. Let's go, and you're gonna really enjoy it. And I said, okay. While I'm preparing, can you please call them and ask if they have an availability for today? And I like, me calling someone speaking in English? How do I even address them? Should I address them ladies and gentlemen? No, it doesn't work. Should I address them Miss or Mrs.? But I don't know if they're married or not married. So how should I address? And then I said, told my relative, I'm so stressed. Could you please call them? I don't even know how to address them. And she said, no problem. So, and I was thinking, how she would address them? Those are important people. It's a trendy restaurant. So she picks up the phone and she said, hi, guys. Do you guys have availability for tonight? And I like, oh, hi, guys. This is how we're going to address important people in my life. Hi, guys. Very California style. And since then, when I need to call my spirit guides, all the shebang, all the entourage, everyone that I ever connected to, I just say, hi, guys. Can you help me with that?
Okay. Yeah, just drop the formalities and get right to it, right?
Yeah. So when you asked me a question, do I invite a spiritual being into my sessions and my work? Just, hi, guys. Okay, who is coming? What we gonna do? Are you all here? Okay, assemble.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
No formalities there.
And do your clients know, and do they then learn to do that from you by you demonstrating that, and do you take those opportunities to kind of be that bridge in that way? Because if you don't, I'm sure it happens organically, and I'm sure the guides just go ahead and participate. But that is so sweet.
Thank you. The guys are coming. Sometimes, occasionally, I share with my clients. I will tell, before we started the session, your teachers showed up, and they were standing over there. And the client will say, yes, I know that they watching me. Or I would say, the group of angels showed up, and they said, this is what their name is. And she said, yes, they are with me my whole life. I know they're watching over me. So things like that happen. Few times I had a client who had a spiritual teacher in this life that is very powerful individual, and they couldn't have a session with anyone else because it just didn't work. So they showed up in my office, and when I started the session, I noticed the presence of the teacher there, the protective teacher. And I would communicate with the teacher telepathically, and we will set our intentions together that it's safe here. And then the client would have a session. So it's important to be aware who the client is bringing, who sometimes there are protection that comes with the client, they look like archangels or beings that are protecting, and we have a communication. I'm saying, this is my intention, let's work together.
That is so important. And I'm so glad that you're sharing this right here at the end of our conversation, because if people pay attention to nothing else, but really pay attention to this, because stepping out and into the spiritual world and not having something in place for protection and for an authentic connection, it's very important. So listen to how Sasha works, and how she connects and how she respects the other person's guides and everything else. It's all super important. I want to hear your stories. If any of you have a story, this is sacred storytelling. If you have a weird real life story that you want to share with me, reach out to me, freedomcoach23@gmail.com. Also, the very first person to reach out to me today at that email will receive a complimentary session to work with me, see if you want to work more with me. Also, please get in touch with Sasha if you want a QHHT session or a Life Between Lives hypnotherapy session. So until next time, keep the weird stories coming, and thank you for listening today. Thank you, Sasha.
Thank you so much for inviting me. It was such a pleasure to share.
Thank you for walking through the mystery with me on Weird Real Life Stories. I hope today's story stirred something sacred in you, something that reminds you your experiences matter, even the ones you can't explain. If your soul whispered yes at any point, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. And be sure to tune in every first and third Wednesday at noon Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio for more true tales of spirit, synchronicity, and soul wisdom. To explore my holistic coaching, retreats, or tools for healing mind, body, and soul, visit anywheremindbodysoul.com. And if you're ready to go even deeper, my channeled book with my son Spencer, Listen to the Silence, Messages and Miracles from Spencer Who Never Spoke Words, is waiting for you at listentothesilence.org. You're not crazy, you're connected, and the story is just beginning.